Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inshallah, today we'll be completing the story of Prophet Dawud alayhi salam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. After the death of Musa alayhi salam, the Jews lived in great corruption. They worshipped idols and changed the Torah. Shamelessness spread amongst them. Prophethood never ended amongst the Banu Israel. Whenever a Nabi died, Allah sent another Nabi. Their Nabi Shamuel alayhi salam was very sad that their enemies, the Amalekites, defeated them in every battle. The Amalekites even managed to take the Ark of Musa alayhi salam, which the Jews used to carry in every battle to help them. The Ark had Musa alayhi salam's staff and some other things of his brother Harun alayhi salam. Shamuel alayhi salam called his people to repent, to worship Allah alone and break the idols. He continued calling them to Allah until they repented and became sincere for Allah. They won their battle against the Amalekites, but did not get the ark back. Shamuel alayhi salam grew old. Banu Israel said to him, "Send us a king so that we can fight in Allah's way." He replied, "A Nabi amongst you calls you to Allah. A king will enslave you and oppress you. He will eat your wealth." They said, "We know that, but we want a king to fight our enemies with us." He said, "Will you fight if it is written for you?" They replied, "Why should we not fight in Allah's way when we have been taken away from our homes and children?" Shamuel alayhi salam went home to ask Allah to give them a king. Allah revealed to him that he chose Talut as king over Banu Israel. Shamuel alayhi salam went to Banu Israel and said, "Allah has sent Talut as your king." They were angry and confused and said, "Talut is a poor water bearer. How can he be our king? We are more worthy of kingship than him. He has not been given any wealth." Shamuel alayhi salam said, "Allah has chosen him and increased him in knowledge and body. Allah gives him kingship to whoever he wishes. Allah is all-encompassing and all-knowing." They said, "What is the sign that Allah chose him?" Shamuel alayhi salam replied, "The sign of that is that the ark will come to you with calm in it from your Rabb and what is left from that of the family of Musa and Harun. Angels will carry it. Verily, there is a sign in that for you if you are believers." He hardly finished his words when the ark came before them with Allah's permission. They were happy and shouted for Talut, their new king, to live long. The army of Banu Israel marched under Talut to fight their enemies. The Jews had prepared well for this war. On the way, Talut called out to his army, "Allah will test you with the river. Whoever drinks from it is not from me. He who does not drink from it is from me, unless he takes a handful to drink with his hand." Most of the army drank from the river. Talut ordered those who drank to go back home because they had disobeyed his orders. He then crossed the river. The enemy came out in massive numbers to meet him under the leadership of Jalut. Talut's army shouted, "We have no power today against Jalut and his army." The believers amongst them said, "How many a small force overcame a large force with Allah's permission? Allah is with the patient ones." They then made dua, "O Allah, shower us with patience, make our feet firm, and help us against the disbelieving nation." The battle began between the two armies. Jalut, the big king, came out. He was very tall and had a big body. Whoever saw him feared him. He stood and shouted like a lion in the jungle, "Is there anyone willing to fight me?" Nobody came out to fight this wild man. The whole battlefield became quiet with fear. Talut called out to his army, "Who will go fight Jalut?" When nobody came out, Jalut and his army laughed. The Jews felt humiliated. Talut tried to make his army brave. He said, "I shall marry my daughter to whoever goes fight him." Still, nobody went. This was repeated for many days. Nobody went to face Jalut, who mocked Banu Israel and Talut. The army was staying long away from their land. Talut was staying long away from his kingdom. Dawood, a young boy, was looking after the goats while his brothers were away. He decided to go to them. He reached the battlefield and heard Jalut shouting, "Who will fight me?" Dawood alayhi salam said, "I shall fight you." His brothers rushed to him and said, "You are small, mad one. That Amalekite is Jalut." Dawood alayhi salam replied, "Allah is with me. He is stronger than Jalut and his whole army." They said, "Go back to the goats, O Dawood. You are small. You will kill yourself." Dawood alayhi salam said, "Inshallah, I shall kill him." Talut went to Dawood alayhi salam and said, "Go back, young one. You are still a youth. May Allah look after you." Dawood alayhi salam insisted on fighting Jalut. He took a hand catapult and went to the middle of the battlefield. Jalut laughed and said, "Go back, O small one. I do not want to kill you." Dawood alayhi salam said, "I shall kill you, inshallah." He put a stone in his catapult and flung it at Jalut. The stone hit the giant between his eyes, and he dropped down. Dawood alayhi salam went to him and cut off his head. Banu Israel shouted in joy at the killing of Jalut. They attacked their enemies and defeated them with Allah's permission. Dawood alayhi salam married the king's daughter. Talut made him the leader of the army. Allah gave Dawood alayhi salam wisdom. When Talut died, Dawood alayhi salam became the king of Banu Israel. Allah made him a Nabi after the death of Shamuel alayhi salam. He thus had kingship and prophethood. He was a king Nabi. Dawood alayhi salam used to divide his days into 3-day patterns. One day was for judging between the people with justice. One day was for performing salah. He would isolate himself in his mihrab and worship Allah. And the 3rd day was for his wife. One day Dawood alayhi salam went to praise Allah. When he used to praise Allah, everything used to cry. The birds, fruits, and animals used to cry until they died. Even the mountains used to praise Allah with Dawood alayhi salam until they almost fell down. Dawood alayhi salam was making dua and salah, seeking closeness to Allah. Allah had blessed him with a wise son, Sulaiman alayhi salam, who was pious and good to his parents. Sulaiman alayhi salam grew up to be a strong young man in the life of his father. Allah made him a Nabi. He understood the languages of the birds and animals. One day 2 men came to Dawood alayhi salam. One of them said, "The goats of this man entered my fields and ate the crops." Dawood alayhi salam asked the goat owner, "Did your goats do that?" "Yes," he replied. Dawood alayhi salam said, "Then the farmer will take the goats in place of the crops that he lost." Sulaiman alayhi salam was there and said, "O father, that is not right." Dawood alayhi salam asked him, "What do you think, O my son?" Sulaiman alayhi salam replied, "The goat owner should take the farm to make it right. The farmer should take the goats and benefit from their milk. When the farm is right, the goat herd will return to the farmer, and the farmer will return his goats to him." Dawood alayhi salam was happy with his son's wisdom. One day, the people learned some sad news. Dawood alayhi salam was dead. The people went to his funeral. It was a hot day. Sulaiman alayhi salam, who was king, called the birds and they covered the people in their shade. The people thought they would die because the air was so little. Sulaiman alayhi salam told the birds, "Cover the direction of the sun and leave open the wind." The people were now in shade with wind blowing over them. Dawood alayhi salam was buried and the story of Sulaiman alayhi salam began. Inshallah, now we'll talk about some beneficial lessons to take from the story of Prophet Dawood alayhi salam. Number 1, be firm in your iman and do not turn. Number 2, worship Allah alone. Number 3, Allah becomes angry at the sinners and loves those who repent. Number 4, victory is for the repenting believers and defeat is for the disbelievers. Number 5, it is necessary to believe in the Anbiya. Number 6, Dawood alayhi salam had a sweet voice. Read the Quran in a sweet voice, or at least learn to read it right. And number 7, be eager to remember and praise Allah at all times. Alhamdulillah, we have completed the story of Prophet Dawood alayhi salam. Inshallah, we'll be starting the story of Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam in the next session. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.